The Wrestling Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wrestling Podcast. And today we're interviewing Nolan Baker, the Capital Cup champion, 2018 U23 War Team member, and Olympic hopeful coming up in 23 days, I think, so or something around that. How are you doing? How's your day been like? How's the training regimen? And tell us a little bit about your day in the last couple of weeks.
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Today's been pretty good. We didn't have practice today. Usually we have practice on Wednesdays, but we pushed pretty hard on Monday and Tuesday. So our coach said, just run on your own today, and then we'll come back and push it hard again Thursday and Friday. So this morning I got together with Tommy Brackett. He was the U23 champ this year at whatever weight he's at. He's a little bit bigger than me. We just got a nice little 40-minute run around a big lake in town. So that was pretty good. And then came back, took a huge nap, and now here I am.
All right, nice. That's awesome.
So it's a good nap?
Oh, great nap. Every nap's great right after a workout. There's a difference between a lazy nap and like a nap that you earned. So that was a nap I earned.
Exactly. Yeah, I got you.
All right, so let's dive straight into the questions. So let's talk about your recent competition, which was at the Capital Cup, which Emmett was commentating at. Unfortunately, I couldn't have been there. But how did you find out about this event, and what did you think about it? As it was like one of the first Greco cards that was like based on Greco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I first heard about it sometime in January. There was a big camp that was held in Beersford, South Dakota at the Legends of Gold training facility. And on our road trip up there, I think it was Logan Savvy, who runs the Greco United Twitter account. They just started tweeting out, how cool would it be if we had a bracket full of just these young studs and like everybody got together? Because, obviously with the lockdown and everything, wrestling cards and like wrestling events that are live streamed are bigger than they've ever been. And so it was something that everybody, thought would be cool. And everybody started jumping in and saying, I'll do it. Because it sounded really cool. But then over time, so many people backed out and so many people got in that the event changed shape like 8 times. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those guys that just stuck through it the whole time. And so all I know, like there were people changing like reservations, however you say it. Like there were people pulling out and being added up to the morning of the competition.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, it was definitely tempting at times to say, oh, this is too complicated. I just want to back out. But at the same time, you got to stick in those kind of opportunities to make something cool happen. So like, even though it was unideal, I stuck in it. I got to win a wrestling tournament with $1,000 on the line. I got a super cool dagger. I got nice momentum going into the Olympic trials. So, the first step to doing something cool is just doing it. So that was kind of the mindset going into there.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. Just even though like it's not like Olympic level competition, it's still great competition. And
there was amazing competition there.
Yeah, money on the line, all that. And like you said, great momentum going into the Olympic trials when some of these guys haven't wrestled in like up to a year, which is crazy to think about. All right, and exactly. Start on the next question.
Yeah. So but what you said, like it was I remember for me too, like so you said people were dropping out and stuff. So like I like was doing my comments, I was having my notes and stuff. I was like, oh, he's not wrestling. I was kind of scared, but I got it underhand. It ended up being a good event. But so in your first match, you had Corbin Nurchel, where you got that match over quickly around, I think it was like 30 seconds. You had a lift and you threw him. How did it feel to get that, the first match? Some people have first match jitters, and how did it feel to get that over quick?
Yeah, that was cool because the first match of the day really like sets the tone for the rest of it. So even though typically like in a seeded event, that event had no seeds, so it was just kind of random draw. But in a typical wrestling tournament, if you're a seeded athlete, you can go in there and take care of business first round, but it's just a matter of like doing it in dominant fashion, getting a good feeling going into the day and then, getting it rolling. That match was awesome because it's been 4 months since I've wrestled. So, half of you wonders how good am I anymore. So just that first match helps you get those jitters out of the way and keep it going. this
Yeah,
this
for
event was
sure.
super cool too, because like I feel like Greco guys, we're kind of a smaller community and more tight knit. So we were all warming up with each other the night before the competition. Like we came in, we got our singlets and everything. And me and Corbin were actually warm up partners like the night before. So I just like grabbed him. I said, "Hey, you want to roll around a little bit?" And he was like, "Sure." And as we were rolling around, we knew full well we could grab each other first round,
Oh
the next
yeah.
morning, which ended up happening. Like I slapped his hand right when the bracket got posted, and I was like, "Well, this sucks, but here we go." Just
Yeah, that's crazy. So I have a question. Going into that first match, after you like kind of wrestled him the day before, did you know you had kind of an advantage against him?
I think I had wrestled with him at that South Dakota camp before, and then I wrestled with him at whatchamacallit, the venue the night before, like I said.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, like selfishly, whenever I am kind of like drilling with somebody, you're kind of sizing yourself up. But what I've learned at this point, when you wrestle like some of the top Greco guys, they like almost the better they are, the lighter they drill, and like the less predictable you can match their motion. So it's easy to fall into the trap of hand fighting with a guy at the beginning of a practice. To say like you have a national team camp and everybody comes into the Olympic Training Center and they're rolling. You can slap somebody's hand and kind of be hand fighting with them, and you can feel like you're having success, and then you go live with them and they just beat your butt. Because when you get to that level, guys are so confident they're not trying to prove anything in practice, like yeah, you can win the hand fighting goat that's not even live, like they don't care. So when
Exactly.
I'm wrestling with Corbin the day before, that's really not. I mean, there's just so many unpredictables. I'm just trying to get a sweat in,
Yeah.
maybe pick up on his best move, but it's so friendly, you're not even really worried about that.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like a warm up. It wasn't really like
Yeah, no,
live
for
or
sure.
anything.
It's
Yeah.
weird though, because say like I'm Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo. Say like we're not going to warm up the day before our fight, because then
Exactly.
you bet your bottom dollar you're trying to get a feel for the other guy. No, it was
Yeah.
Exactly.
an environment in that.
All right. So now let's talk about your second match, which was against Jesse Owens, who's a
Jesse
great
Williams.
opponent. Excuse me?
You
Oh,
said
sorry,
Jesse
sorry.
Owens.
Jesse Williams, sorry.
Yeah.
Who's a great opponent. What were some of your takeaways from that match?
That was so when you're like, obviously this is the first event that I've wrestled in where there was like serious money on the line, and that's relative to however much money you're making. But as a college kid who's just wrestling full time, like $1,000 is like the holy grail
Exactly.
to me. So the first match with Corbin, there was money on the line in the long term, but that didn't really play a factor. Now when I'm wrestling Jesse Williams, there's $750 on the line, because that's what at least second place gets. So I know I've wrestled him a couple times before, and I've beat him a couple times before. So I knew that I was capable of winning the match. I went out there, I just started throwing upper body. And then when I got him down in the headlock, there was like a moment where I literally thought in my head, I was like, this is a $750 headlock. Do not let this go. So there was a point where like he almost got out of the way. And then I just thought $750. And I just sat back down and I was like, yes. So then when I got that pin, it was like, then the money stress, which really shouldn't be in wrestling. I'm glad it was
Yeah.
there, because I ended up making money.
Exactly.
Pure wrestling match, money really shouldn't be the focus. Easier said than done when you're the one that's about to make it. But then once I made the finals, whether I beat Lenny or I lost to Lenny, it's only a $250 difference. Like the big chunk of money's out of the way. So then money
Exactly.
wasn't even on my mind going into the match after that. That was the semifinals, was the money match that I just had to stay focused in.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't care what anybody says. Money is a good inspiration.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I
agree.
don't care. But so yeah, I think Jesse also, competes in the New York Athletic Cup. You said you competed against him. Have you guys ever practiced too?
No, we don't practice together. The way that sponsorships work at this level, so like we are teammates. Like I definitely wish him the best in his competition.
Yeah.
That we're both from the New York Athletic Club. Like if he does well at a tournament and I do well at a tournament, we both help the same team. So like the New York Athletic Club might get the same plaque.
Yeah.
But as far as training environments, everybody's really at their own spot. So I'm out in Colorado Springs, and he actually, I believe, lives in New York, around the same area as Lenny, who's also New York Athletic Club. So Lenny and Jesse were kind of like warm-up partners the night before, whereas I went with Corbin. So yeah,
Okay.
there's many different alliances. Like my closest alliance is probably to my teammates and my coach here out in Colorado Springs. And then right after that is my other New York Athletic Club guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a world event, then I'm cheering for all USA guys. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
kind of levels.
But so you said you competed against them. Did you like have any, strategies or anything you like if you had a good headlock or you're just good 2-on-1 type of guy? Was there anything you were, looking aware of?
So I think I've wrestled Jesse 3 times.
Okay.
The first 2 times I wrestled him, like Jesse Williams is I forget the exact tournament. I think he's a US Open runner-up and he has some great wins in his career. So I know he has a lot of offensive capability and a lot of solid technique. I guess I did wrestle with him a couple of times in that South Dakota camp. And he was kind of showing everybody else technique. Like he has real solid technique. And my approach against a lot of guys is kind of just use brute strength and force to completely override that technique. So when I was going out against him in that 3rd match at the Capital Cup, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I just knew that I needed to do something, aggressive.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, and I remember, so you were talking about the money. This is a little off topic, but so I was watching the Joe Rogan experience when he did it with Jordan Burroughs, and I believe his like Olympic finals match was like a $200,000 match.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I'm pretty sure if you win, it's like 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get second, it's $50,000.
Yeah.
So,
And that's on an even another level.
Oh
That's
my
like
God.
8 levels above me. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it's weird too, because I think at the Olympics it'd be a little bit different. Like I'm sure he said the money was a factor in his mind, but when you get to the Olympics, like that's like a lifelong dream being fulfilled. So that's got to be the first thing on your mind.
Yeah.
Whereas the Capital Cup is awesome to win, but since I was 3 years old, I haven't been dreaming of winning the Capital Cup. So
Exactly.
the motivations are kind of skewed on that. If I had to choose between $200,000 and an Olympic medal, I choose the Olympic medal. But if I had to choose between $1,000 and winning the Capital Cup, then it gets dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. But so yeah, in the finals, you have Lenny Merkin, he's a lot of people know who he is. He's a really good Greco, respected Greco guy. But what I noticed about you all day, and definitely in that finals match, was the ability to sink your hips, and float when they're, attempting a lift or a throw. How have you taught yourself to? I know you're taught to sink your hips. Like I was watching. I was like, dang, he does it better than a lot of the other people. Is it something you just practice, or how do you like get your hips so effectively?
So that's one of the things in my wrestling that's like bittersweet, because when I win off of it, like I think like I attribute that win to like my funky hips. When I win off of it, it's great because I win, but I also question like how much I earned that win, because it's honestly just like a God-given ability. Like there's nothing I've done in my life to like, train having funky hips. It's just something that like whenever I start getting thrown, it kind of like locks in, and then I'm like, okay, like it just kind of like works out in my favor. So like it's frustrating because we work on so many things in practice, like so many techniques. And if you were to have me like coach like a big team of like little kids or like a high school team or whatever, I could show technique just about as good as anybody in the nation.
Yeah.
But when I get into a match and I get into those funky situations, I never end up using any of it because my body just goes into like fight or flight mode and my hips turn into jello and I just land on top of people. So
yeah,
that's definitely, so like I don't do anything specifically to train like having good floating abilities, but it just comes naturally when I'm wrestling and training consistently. So like when I went to senior nationals and U23 nationals like 4 or 5 months ago, I literally hadn't had more than 5 wrestling practices in 7 months. So like I was running every day and I was lifting weights and I was like doing everything to stay in shape, but your body just loses that muscle memory of, so like you have the muscle memory to do the moves, but you don't have the muscle memory to react to getting, scored on.
Yeah.
So those tournaments, I went to try to, do the funky stuff that I always do, and it just did not work at all. Like I kept landing on my back. I was getting thrown out of bounds. I was like, okay, so this isn't going to work. And that's really what happened with Lenny the last time we wrestled. Anything Lenny tried worked. Like it was like if he touched me and he popped his hips, I went over. And then
Jeez.
when we wrestled this time, I feel like he did the same exact stuff that he did in the first match, but my body overtraining the last 3-4 months has just, gotten that hip muscle memory back.
Yeah, the rhythm back. Yeah.
So I have a question. Now that we're on throws a little.
Yeah.
What is the hardest you've ever been thrown?
The hardest I've ever been thrown.
Ooh.
I usually don't think I've ever been like picked up and tossed and like landed like hard. Like I don't think I've ever been thrown like that. But it's kind of like a taste of my own medicine. My go-to is a headlock. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt right now that says headlocks on the hood.
Oh, nice.
But so like I'll headlock everybody, and mercilessly when they're on their back, I'll be like, if you get choked out, you get choked out. Like I'll just crank on it. Like absolutely no sympathy for the guy I'm headlocking. But then in Fargo, I think it was my sophomore year of high school, I was in the 3rd and 4th place match of juniors against Corey Shy. Corey Shy wrestles for the Army now. And we met for 3rd and 4th place, and he got me in a headlock. And I tell you, like, the way he got it, it must be like the way I get it on other people. But he squeezed so hard, I felt something like in the back of my throat, like he was squeezing so hard. And as I was getting pinned, I was like, I'm a terrible person. I do this to people on a weekly basis. This sucks. So, I mean, it didn't change the way I squeeze people whenever I get them in headlocks, but now I know the pain that they're feeling.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Got to taste your own medicine.
Oh, for sure.
But so I know you got a cool award. That was like the sword, a mini sword, like a dagger kind of. And I believe doesn't it have like I think it has like Greco United engraved in it or something engraved in it. What did you think of the award? As I thought it was pretty cool. And where is it being stored now?
So the award, the concept of giving a dagger as a prize is awesome. Just because it's different, it keeps people excited. Yeah. So like it was kind of like a third layer. Like one, I was nervous heading up to the tournament about performing and winning the tournament, and then secondarily, I was like, if I win, I could make some money. And so I was trying to battle with, don't think about the money, just think about the wrestling. And then they posted the pictures of the daggers, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, now if I lose, I gotta, realize that I lost out on a dagger or whatever. So I was like, going into the tournament, I got my headspace to the point where I was like, who cares about the dagger? Screw the dagger. Like, don't even think about it. And so then it really didn't even occur to me until I won and I saw him walking out with it. I was like, oh, hell yeah. I get a knife.
Yeah, so, that's dope.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, that was really cool. Unfortunately, you can't take a knife like that back through the airport.
And
he said that he would ship it for us. Unfortunately, so like I'm at an apartment complex that's not the most high-end apartment complex. So with COVID restrictions and everything, they've just shut down the front office. So there's just no one in the front office. So I've been living here 4 months and I don't have a mailing address. So I just had Savvy send it to my home back in Illinois. So my parents email like yesterday, and my parents are holding on to it for me until I get back home.
All right, nice. That kind of sucks.
Yeah. So like I figured out Whole Foods has Amazon counters though. So if I want to order something off Amazon, I can just send it to the local Whole Foods.
Okay, that's good.
And go pick it up.
Okay, that's at least that's good.
Yeah, you find a way.
So, okay.
Good, Will.
All right, thanks. So overall, what do you think about what Logan Savvy and Greco United are doing with these type of events, and like just kind of like getting Greco wrestling to grow?
Yeah, I think. There's like everybody always talks about, how disadvantaged Greco is in America, or like how little attention it gets, or whatever. And everybody has solutions. Like, you got to start getting kids to do it at a young age, or you got to, make it cooler, get more coaches in it or whatever. I think those things are all like correct, but I think they're easier said than done. So while hosting a Greco card like Logan did isn't something that's within my wheelhouse. Like, I don't think I have the ability to do that right now, like the means or whatever.
Yeah.
But I will say he's one of the guys that has, actually stepped up and done something. Like everybody on the USA Wrestling Greco coaching staff and, the people that they employ are all doing a great job of, spreading wrestling. And, I think the best way to spread wrestling in the United States is to get a bunch of Greco world medalists, to be honest with you. Like, I think if the success comes at the senior level, then it'll kind of trickle down. But likewise, getting it in the public eye like Logan did is almost just as effective. So I think in order to keep the momentum going, like, other people will have to have their own cards and, similar things will have to come up. But I think definitely the Capital Cup moved that needle in the right direction.
I feel like Greco kind of gets like a bad vibe because like I feel like people kind of like some people portray it as like just like getting thrown around.
Yeah, like scary.
Like you're gonna get hurt, and like the highlights of like people getting suplexed.
And
I
hated Greco when I first did it. Like, my dad took us to a freestyle and Greco club for the first time when I was in like 5th grade.
Okay.
And it just felt so unnatural and I didn't like it. But then over time I realized if I don't like it and I have naturally good hips, so many other people aren't going to like it. And I was like, hey, if less people are doing this, then I'm going to automatically be better at it. So that like over time, I was like, hey, it's easier to win in Greco. And then it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. At that point, I was like, well, I'm thinking that I like Greco more, so I'm going to get better at Greco more. I think another thing that is important for Greco in the United States, like I was saying, like self-fulfilling prophecy earlier, I think it's important not to like, and I'm not saying anybody in particular does this, but I think there's kind of an aura where sometimes people like to say like, oh, Greco gets no respect, or it's kind of easy to harp on the fact that we're underappreciated or whatever. And I just look at it become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, the only way to grow it is to be positive, make more opportunities, try to get more kids involved or whatever. I really don't think anything's being helped by saying, give Greco more attention, like all these things. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have to do it for ourselves. So, you can say, woe is me all day, but at a certain point, you got to take action, which again, I think so many people in the Greco community are doing. I'm not trying to call anybody out. It's just, I think saying Greco is underappreciated is a cop out. You got to actually do something.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Like, I think Greco, like, if you remember, like the Wrestling Underground card earlier in the year, and Ron and Braun and Provisor, I think when they wrestled, that was the best. I think that was the best match of the card.
Yeah, that was awesome.
When I see throws, I like it better than a single leg and then a couple leg laces. I'm not trying to be biased, but like Greco's fun to watch, and I think I agree with what you said about the Greco community saying you got to be positive about it. And I think over time with more of these cards with like Logan's doing, and I think it'll keep on growing. And I think Greco has a good future ahead of them is what I agree. I think.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I have to say is I think the coolest thing in all of wrestling is people's Greco highlight reels. Like Kamal Bay's highlight reel. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's so different too, because like it's all about wrestling styles when he gets to the senior level. Because like the way I wrestle, I force people to open up. So like and I know I can score, so I'm confident that whenever I wrestle, for better or worse, I'm either gonna get a pin or get a tech fall, or I'm going to be tech falled. I can't remember the last time I was pinned, so not putting that juju out there. But usually I'm either gonna tech fall somebody or I'm gonna get tech falled. Because when you get to like this level, whether it be in training camps or whether it be at like national tournaments, everybody knows that the other guy's offense is like killer when you get to this level. And so a lot of people, what they do, like a lot of guys I wrestle, have the philosophy of, I have really good hand fighting skills and I can guarantee that I'm not going to get forward. But in the process, I'm also going to score only push outs and only passivities. So I almost feel like Greco wrestlers are so good that it hurts us because everybody gets scared of each other. I just try to accept the fact that like, well, at the very least, something cool looking is going to happen. So let's get it on,
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
And at that level, like everybody, like I feel like in freestyle and folk style, like at like the highest of high levels, like you and other top guys are competing at, like everybody knows what they're gonna do. But like I
Mhm.
feel like in Greco it's a little different because there's not like there's a lot of moves, but not like as much
Mhm.
as like freestyle. You know, like
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, basically like I know so many guys that when they go out into a Greco match, just think like, okay, my left hand grabs his right wrist. Then my other hand grabs his bicep and I step to the left. Like that's all they're going for the entire match.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's a super boring way to wrestle, but it might consistently get you results. Every time I wrestle, I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do. Usually it ends up being a headlock, but truly like I'm just waving my arms around, just waiting for something to catch.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Greco. Yeah. There's a lot of, and now there's like, you can kind of tell, like, you have like Logan's style is like more of he does a lot of level changes. And then you have more like Lenny, who's kind of more of like a bull kind of, he's
Yeah.
going to get into your face and he's going to, grab
Mhm.
wrist, hand fight for underhooks and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
it's definitely fun to watch. And if you look at it closely, it's definitely a very strategic sport
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, definitely.
yeah. I agree. All right, so now we're about 23 days or something away from the Olympic trials. So would you say the Capital Cup helped prepare you for the Olympic trials? And how much training do you think you have left before it's time to compete?
Yeah, I definitely think the Capital Cup helped me prepare. On the one hand, just getting that live wrestling experience, you can drill and practice all day, and you can wrestle live and practice all day, but you can get comfortable in the wrestling room. So, like when I wrestle live in the wrestling room, I might be doing really good, but I'm also not nervous at all. Like there's zero nerves because I know all these guys in the wrestling room. And if they score on me, it's like, oh, well, you're my buddy. Let's get up and do it again.
Yeah,
But the second
exactly.
Yeah.
you step onto an actual competition mat, your mind's going 1,000 miles an hour. You got, the kind of like, the nerves going, you're excited, which really amps you up to prepare for your best. But if you're not used to that sort of stress, then it can catch you off guard the first time you do it. And especially having those things on the line, like the dagger and $1,000 or whatever, it just the whole competition experience this close to the Olympic trials is kind of like a test run to get the nerves out of the way, to get some momentum back under you. And I think the Capital Cup was great at doing that.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and coming up training wise, like I was saying before we started recording, this next Thursday and Friday we got 2-a-day workouts, and we're going to really push hard there. And then the plan is the next 2 weeks after that to just come in, get a good sweat in, keep the body healthy, and then just be poised to compete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so I have a little follow up. So you're gonna be wrestling at 67 kilos for the Olympics. What's your weight now, and how's your diet looking? And how, if you're over, how do you think you're gonna get that weight off?
So right now I wrestle 67, and I think like right now if I stepped on the scale I'd be like 68.5 kilos. So
Okay.
that's only like, if I do my math right, that's only like 3.5 pounds.
Yeah.
And like when like I could sleep that off and then not eat breakfast in the morning and then I'd be good to weigh in. So
Yeah.
obviously like I like eating as much as possible, but my wrestling style has always been to really like not cut that much weight at all and just go out there and have a boatload of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier wrestling littler guys because you're stronger, but I'm like one of my strengths is that I'm naturally strong. So I figure if I could just eat and drink whatever I want, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be at least as strong as the guy I'm wrestling, and then I'm going to be a little more crazy. So I can make something happen. When
Yeah,
I
for sure.
Yeah.
when I was, I probably should cut weight. I mean, right now this is the perfect weight for me, but I probably should have cut a little more weight throughout my wrestling career. And on the state finals my senior year of high school, I wrestled 145, and I weighed in like with the pounds allowance or whatever. Like as the state tournament goes on, you get pound allowances.
Uh-huh.
And when I weighed in the final day of the state finals, I made weight for 138. Like I made weight for the weight class below me, and I had already tech falled the guy that ended up winning that weight class. So I was like,
Oh my
wow,
gosh.
I could have just weighed in naturally, but I ended up getting a pin in the finals anyway. So
Oh, okay.
I was like,
It's
well, I
still
mean, I
good.
guess it didn't matter that much, but I also could have made the weight below me.
Yeah. All right.
That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah.
funny. So wait, hold up, Emmett. Can I ask one more thing?
Yeah. Good.
All right. So is what you're weighing like right now? Is this like your like natural walk around weight, or is this like you on a strict diet?
No,
Like,
I'm not on a strict diet. I'm just like I'm on a try to avoid junk food diet.
yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
like if it's like I really don't look at like calories or like nutrition, like the contents of what I'm eating at all. But I just try to go on like my gut feeling on if what I'm eating is good or not. So like
Yeah.
eating a
Yeah.
bowl of oatmeal in the morning, I feel pretty good about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I go out and eat a box of Twinkies, probably don't feel too good about that. So I try to avoid that. So
Yeah.
I eat pretty
Yeah.
clean for the most part, which is pretty good. But yeah, this is just my natural walking around weight. Whether I mean, I'm sure at some point my metabolism will stop and I'll be a fat old man someday. But right now, like I could literally go out and eat like 80,000 ice cream sandwiches. And within 2 weeks from now, I'd weigh maybe even lighter than I weigh right now. Like my body just does not care
Yeah.
what I put in it. It will never get any lighter or any heavier. I'm just like able no
Okay.
matter what.
All
All right.
right. Yeah.
I guess that's nice for.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
It's a very nice thing to be able to eat and not gain
Yeah.
much weight.
Yeah.
But so I have one more question before we wrap it up. So you said 2019, you left Northern Illinois where you wrestled folk style, obviously. What was it like switching to full-time Greco and going to the Colorado Springs? And how hard was the transition? And do you still miss folk style?
So do I miss? I look forward to coaching. Like I want to be a high school wrestling coach one day. So I look forward to coaching folk style in the future. I do not miss competing in folk style just because
Okay.
I dominated in small school, high school wrestling in folk style. But then once I made it to the Division I level, the competition was just on another level that I think I had kind of peaked out at. Whereas
Okay.
Greco is it's opened like a whole new world of like wrestling opportunities. So wrestling wise, I feel 100 times better walking in and wrestling a practice of Greco and then a Greco competition. Like that feels 100 times better to me than walking into a folk style practice or, competing in folk style. I'd say the hardest part was definitely leaving my friends and my coaches because I'd already been there for 2 years. And so those roots had already dug themselves in. And so in order to come out here, I kind of had to leave a lot of people behind. I still keep in touch with a lot of them, but it's different, just having that brotherhood with a college team. I will say that like you get such high quality Greco training where I'm at right now, but it's not that you miss out on, that brotherhood aspect. Like I still have plenty of buddies on the wrestling program out here. And if I wanted to hang out with somebody, I could just hit somebody up and, hang out with them. But when you're in a college team, it's like that. Like you're all living together. You see each other like 5 hours a day. You go through grueling workouts together, so like those are some bonds that are kind of hard to recreate once you've already been through that process for a couple of years. But if I could go back, I would do it all again. Like this is definitely the right decision for me, even if it was difficult at the time. It's all worked out thus far. So
yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nolan, for coming on. I really appreciate this, and I've learned a lot about you and about Greco. So thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll get you on soon once you're an Olympic champ.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is an awesome little setup you guys got going on here.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
It was cool. Yep. Thank you.
All right.